Hi class, Mrs. Sherman here. I'm here to tell you about how homework videos are going to work in this class, or at least how I think they're going to work. I'll make changes if I'm not happy with the way it's going. So right now, I'm going to be starting out with one a week. That's my goal. We'll see. If I really like it, then we may change another later in the week homework assignment to be a video homework as well. They should be about 10 to 15 minutes long, although of course you'll be pausing and rewinding, so you should expect it to take longer than that. There are going to be multiple spots where you pause the video and do the math, as well as a problem set at the end that you're going to correct just like you do a normal homework assignment. You're also going to be copying down notes. You should be used to that from last year if you had Miss White. And then all total, I expect that it should take you about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how much you like to rewind or whether you just listen to it straight through. In this video, you are going to be practicing a new skill, as well as practicing what your homework should look like when you've watched a homework video. So today we're learning how to make a graph from a table. For some of you, this is review. For others, it might be new. Notice that the writing on this page is in red. That means that you should be writing it down. Anything that I write in red, I expect you to copy as part of your notes. So take a moment now to copy this table. I'll be putting up this amazing little pause icon whenever I expect you to pause and do something. Now that you've copied the table, let's set up the graph. So first you need to decide how many quadrants you need. Do we need a 4-quadrant graph with positive and negative values? No, definitely not. Our table only has positive numbers in it. Instead, we need a 1-quadrant graph. So draw in the axes first, and then we'll decide on the scale. Once you have the lines drawn in, you need to decide which variable goes where. So remember that the horizontal axis is the x-axis and the vertical axis is y. And we always put the independent variable on the x-axis. So that's the variable that affects the other one. You may remember that term from your science classes. And the y-axis always represents the dependent variable, or the thing that gets changed in this situation. So here, the height is going to be the dependent variable, because how tall something is depends on time. Time doesn't change based on how tall something is. It's the other way around. How tall something is changes over time. And likewise, time is going to be our independent variable because it's what's affecting the other variable. So now I know which variable goes where. I can decide what scale to use for each axis. So unless we're starting with values that are significantly above 0, we always start with 0 being exactly on that line. And since time is just going up, the years are just going up by 1s, I'm just going to count by 1s on the x-axis because I have space for that. So I've labeled by 1s. I would strongly recommend that anyone who has even the slightest bit of sloppy handwriting also add little tick marks by each number to show where they line up. Now I need to decide what to do with my scale for the height. So I need to get all the way up to over 17. And I don't have that many spaces. In fact, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spots to fit over 17 feet. So I'm going to round up to 20 and say that if I count by twos, that'll get me up to 20, and that's plenty of space. So I count up by twos, once again making sure that my 0 is perfectly lined up with the x-axis and that I've skipped the same number of spaces each time going up. Notice that I did not use the same numbers that were in my table, and that is okay. It means that I'm going to have to estimate when I plot my points, but that's fine. If I were to use the numbers that were in the table, my graph would be wrong. Now it's time for me to plot my points. So I'll start with 0, 4, which belongs right there. I know this because 0, 4 in the table corresponds to 0, 4 as a coordinate, which should be plotted right here. X coordinate first, Y coordinate second. Pause now and plot the rest of the points. Okay, so now check your points and see if you plotted them in the same place. If you are confused about what to do with the decimals, notice that I just estimated. So when I had 8.1 right here, I just put it at a little bit above 8 because I knew that was roughly where 8.1 would go. Fix your graph now if you didn't do it right. Once your graph is totally correct and you've labeled everything the way I have on the axes and your scale is correct, go ahead and move on to the practice set on the next page. Pause now if you need to. The last part of every homework video is going to be a practice set. So this practice set has 3 problems. You're going to do them in your spiral right underneath the notes that you took in the earlier part of this video. And then if this were a normal homework video, we will be correcting these problems in our group, in class, just the way you guys are used to doing. So go ahead and pause this now and complete these 3 problems before you move on with your next task.